I have not discussed Afghanistan in depth for a very long time. We've had a few episodes of Ask Abhijit about Afghanistan. That's more than a year ago, when the entire US withdrawal from Afghanistan happened, the complete disaster, and they handed over Afghanistan on a plate to the Taliban. At that time, I had said several things. I had said several things that people kind of laughed at. They said that now Afghanistan is a proper Pakistani puppet. The Pakistanis will enjoy complete control over Afghanistan. I said that's not going to happen. I said that the Taliban are anti-Pakistan. The Taliban are Pashtun nationalists, and they're going to have great amounts of friction with Pakistan. The two countries will essentially become enemies. The Taliban claim Pakistani territory, and so on. And today the situation is exactly what I had said. I had said that India and the Taliban will find ways to cooperate together, and that's also what's happening. The Taliban government wants India to resume its activities, its development activities in Afghanistan. They want India to keep on investing in Afghanistan and keep building whatever infrastructure was India was building for the Afghan people. The Taliban want that to resume, and yet we have to understand the Taliban are not India's friends, but they don't see India as a major enemy. Their major enemy is Pakistan. And even if India, let's look at the map. Even if India were to regain the Pakistan occupied portion of Jammu and Kashmir and Ladakh, and if India were to re-establish its historical territorial boundaries with Afghanistan, even then I don't think India and Afghanistan will have an adversarial relationship, because the Afghans know, everyone knows, India doesn't have territorial ambitions, hegemonic expansionist ambitions. So I am sure the Taliban and the Afghans would prefer to have India on their border rather than Pakistan. Yeah. So the situation is like that. And we are witnessing lots of clashes along the Pakistan Afghanistan border. The Taliban and the Pakistan army enjoy routine clashes. Soldiers die on both sides, and the Pakistanis also, obviously, they believe that the Taliban are fomenting terrorism in Balochistan. We've had lots of terrorists. I mean, what you would call the people of Balochistan desire independence from the terrorist regime in Pakistan. Yes. And the Pakistanis accuse the Taliban of helping the Balochistan freedom struggle against the foreign occupation of Pakistan. Even the Chinese have been targeted in Balochistan, right? So the situation, the relationship between Afghanistan and Pakistan is not good. It is bad, and it is deteriorating. The Afghans accuse the Pakistan Air Force of violating Afghan airspace and bombarding civilians and all that. Yes. Even the Americans seem to have used Pakistani territory to launch certain drone strikes on Afghanistan, which is vitiating the atmosphere. So, from the US perspective, the US has left Afghanistan. The US is does no longer have a presence in Central Asia at all. They have left this big power vacuum. So, by default, the Chinese were made to step in and fill the power vacuum. So everyone was predicting that the Chinese will now take over Afghanistan in a variety of ways. That's not happened. The Chinese are not enjoying this situation. They see Afghanistan is a problem area, is a problematic country. They are wary of the Taliban. They are also wary of the newfound US stranglehold over Pakistan. The Pakistanis are no longer a Chinese vassal. They are now a US vassal. And the Chinese are worried that through Pakistan and through Afghanistan, there will be an influx of fighters into the Xinjiang region, the East Turkestan region that the Chinese occupy, and there will be more terrorist activities in Chinese occupied territory. The Chinese wanted, when the previous regime was in power, the Ashraf Ghani regime was in power, they wanted to use Afghan soil as a conduit for their Belt and Road initiative. After the Taliban took over, the Chinese have done nothing. They've taken no steps to make this a reality. The BRI is kind of dormant right now. There is no activity happening, no infrastructure being constructed in Afghanistan. China has essentially no government presence. Whatever Chinese presence exists in Afghanistan is through individual entrepreneurs who are trying their luck the way the Chinese entrepreneurs have tried their luck in various parts of Africa. The Chinese entrepreneurs have a very high tolerance for risk. So those who have a very high tolerance for risk have made their way into Afghanistan. They have tried to invest in various businesses, but it looks like it's not working out very well. And the Chinese government is staying away from Afghanistan. So whatever Chinese presence exists in Afghanistan is small scale presence, and it is on the base on done on individual basis, not on government to government basis. So the Afghans are not enjoying any Chinese investment or any Chinese presence, which uh, which actually is good for India. So that is the situation in Afghanistan. The Taliban wants India to step up its presence in Afghanistan. They want more Indian investment in Afghanistan. They want India to restart the infrastructure building activities that India was doing before the Taliban took over, before the Americans withdrew from Afghanistan. So, and yet, as we know, the Taliban, when they put out a map of the region, they show the wrong boundaries of India. So we have to remember that even though relations are reasonably okay, the Taliban are not India's friends. Remember that. But they are bigger enemies of Pakistan. So we can use that to our advantage and achieve our geopolitical, geostrategic objectives, because that's how it is done. So that, in brief, is the situation in Afghanistan. Very briefly,